Welcome to another episode of Space in Africa's webinar series titled Enhancing Infrastructure, Transportation and Connectivity in Africa with GNSS. My name is Mustafa Ederawumi, a senior analyst at Space in Africa, and I'm truly honored to be your host today. So many people may not be aware of the progress that has been made across Africa to enhance the adoption of GNSS and SBAS for various purposes. Therefore, this webinar would allow everyone to learn directly from experts that are representing various key stakeholders that are driving the implementation of SBAS in Africa. Our speaker lineup for today includes representatives from Satellite Navigation Africa JPO, SatNav JPO. We also have a representative from ASECNA and also a representative from NICOMSAT. So our speakers will share insights into SBA's current implementation status in Africa, and also what to expect once the SBAS program is fully operational on the continent. Also, our speakers would also highlight a couple of things on the practical application of GNSS and SBAS in aviation, agriculture, maritime, geoinformation services, and many other applications. But first, let me introduce our speakers for today. First, I have Dr. Lasisi Salamilawa. He holds many positions within NICOMSAT Limited. So he is the acting general manager for technical services at NICOMSAT. He's also the HOD for the navigation department at NICOMSAT. He's also the SBAS project manager and also NICOMSAT 2 payload line manager at NICOMSAT. Also, I have Mr. Vivian Donovan. He is an ANGA program expert at ASECNA. And last but not least, I have Mr. Abbott. Mr. Abbott is a GNSS expert at SatNav Africa JPO. Let me give a quick rundown of today's proceedings. So first, I'm going to ask our speakers some curated questions to drive conversations into different thematic areas. Then afterwards, we are going to entertain some questions from the audience. So this is why I would like to say to all our participants, if you have questions as we move on in the program, kindly drop them in the Q&A box and we'll attempt to as much as we can during the Q&A segment. So for this program, I think the best place to start would be to learn about SBA's journey in Africa. So my first question is to you, Mr. Abbott. Can you provide an overview of SBA's journey in Africa? So starting from the inception, what are the current progress? And also, what are the future roadmaps of GNSS or SBAS implementation in Africa under the SatNav Africa JPO?
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you very much for this invitation to this interesting webinar. Good morning to all of the participants. In fact, on behalf of GPO, I want to thank all the people that will participate to this workshop, but also mainly the organizer. As you are talking with about this, I will bring you a picture that will help to understand when we are talking about SatNav in Africa, what are we talking about? So, as you can see here, I think we have my presentation. As you can see here, I will guide you through the origin of the SatNav Africa GPO office and what led to the implementation of this office and the role that we are playing in this this environment of satellite navigations. Indeed, as you can see, there are key figures, so key dates that we have to keep in mind. We have to.
We are not sharing your screen yet.
You are not seeing my screen, sorry.
Okay.
Okay. I think this one is okay for you?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Sorry again. So we have to keep some key dates from SBAS or satellite navigation in Africa. As we can see in 2000, they were the first African EU summit in Cairo, or in Egypt, where they discussed about African EU partnership. And this partnership was initiated. And in 2007, there were a second EU African summit in Lisbon in Portugal, during which they talk about the joint Africa-EU strategies that was adopted by the head of state and government, and the first action plan was put in place and adopted. And this action plan dates from 2008 to 2010. And in 2010, we had the third African EU summit that was held in Tripoli in Libya, during which they adopted the second action plan, and the EU cooperation was initiated, on satellite navigation was really initiated. From this cooperation that was initiated, we have what we call the support to the air transport and satellite application that in Africa program that was started, and this support give us two projects very significant that led to the SatNat DPO we have today. So there was, the first one was the Saphir project, was aimed at that, was to address the capacity building for Africans stakeholder through working sessions. So we had different working sessions organized by SatNav Africa GPO in Africa toward the awareness through SBAS in Africa. But we have also the sister project that we call Trega project that enable the setup, the staffing, and operationalization of the EGNOS in Africa SatNav Joint Program Office that we call today SatNav GPO since 2021. Okay, so we have in this. We have to say also that we draw a kind of roadmap for the GNSS implementation in Africa. We have to recall that every time we talk about GNSS, the main one that is known by everyone is the GPS. And today, GPS, because of some limitation in GPS, we are talking about SBAS. What is SBAS? It's a kind of augmentation, a kind of improvement to GPS in order to fulfill some requirements of specific sectors like aviation. It's why in many times you will see people will talk about aviation when we are talking in SBAS. In fact, aviation is one of the sectors where requirements are really well defined because at international level, at ICAO, they define this kind of requirements. So they know more or less what they want. So the other sector take profits of this definition to really use this technology. So the roadmap that GPO drew for Africa, it was clearly that when we study the infrastructures in Africa, we saw that GNSS cores are well established in Africa with some deficiency in some region in some country, but they can constitute the first step toward implementation of GNSS or SBAS in Africa. The roadmap we proposed for AUC, it was at the first step, the densification of what we call the so-called GNSS course network. At the second step, we will have a development of satellite-based augmentation system. And at the third step, we propose that we have a broadcasting of wide area PPP correction. So we can see the reception phase of GNSS as this different subnet in mainly the one of in Tripoli, when they start really to talk about satellite navigation in Africa. This is what we can say at this level. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abba.
The floor is yours.
My next question will go to you, Dr. Lasisi. So your organization, NICOMSAT Limited, is one of the key implementers of the SBAS program in Africa.
Yes.
I have a 2-in-1 question for you. So the first one to talk about the role that NICOMSAT is playing to uptake SBAS in Africa. And also, I want you to go from there to now talk about like the initiative we had last year, where NICOMSAT played like a very crucial role in one of the demonstrations in Abuja.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. First, thank you for organizing this webinar in line with actually sensitizing stakeholders on the benefits, socio-economic benefits of GNSS SBAS system. NICOMSAT satellite is actually a hybrid satellite. To be frank, over the years, we've just been utilizing the SATCOM capability of the satellites as it entails the use of the C-band, KU-band, and KA-band for communication and broadcasting. The L-band is actually a navigation overlay service that could be used for satellite-based augmentation system, just like my partners already talked about. There are deficiencies, so to speak, except in the newer versions of GNSS, that you need SBAS to augment issues like integrity, accuracy, availability, and precisioning. That's what SBAS stands to address, which is very critical for safety of life sector like aviation, in line with ICAO Council Annex and SAPS, standard regulation practice. So the way to go about SBAS in Africa, it's actually multilateral cooperation, considering the fact that when you have a satellite-based system, it covers wide area beyond boundaries of countries and continents. So we've realized that there's need to actually cooperate multilaterally, and that's why we've been working with Office of SATNAT JPO, international partners, stakeholders within and outside, economic blocks, like the ECOWAS, the ones in the East, the ones in the West, South, North, and of course, African Union Commission, who also, you get it. And of course, with the African Space Agency, if you look at their 4 cardinal policies of that agency, navigation is one of them. And that was why, in conjunction with our partner, just like you said, precisely on 31st January and 1st February, NANCOMSAT, in conjunction with NAMA, that's Nigerian Airspace Management Agency, which is the air navigation service provider in Nigeria, then the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, and the Ministry of Aviation of Nigeria, now with aerospace development portfolio, a very welcome development. Then, of course, SATNAV, Africa Joint Program Office, a Pan-African instrument supporting satellite navigation development in Africa. And of course, the Augmented Navigation for Africa, ANGA, a program by ASECNA, recognized by ASECNA region itself. You get it. In conjunction with our international partners, conducted for the first time within Nigerian airspace, SBAS, satellite-based augmentation system flight procedure using NAMA's calibration aircraft, Beechcraft King Air 350i aircraft to showcase and promote SBAS benefit in aviation using NICOMSAT-1, our navigation period. We also organized an outreach event on SBAS adoption in aviation in Africa on the 2nd and 3rd of February 2023 in Abuja, Nigeria here. And the then president urged Nigerian communications satellite to collaborate with the aviation sector in the 54 African countries towards successful implementation of satellite-based augmentation system in Africa. With the creation of aerospace development, the portfolio of Ministry of Aviation efforts are ongoing with all agencies and stakeholders, including multinational stakeholders, i.e. ASECNA, to have full-scale continent-wide SBAS. This is actually, quite frankly, in line with African Union Commission recommendation, for which NICOMSAT, as part of Nigeria's delegation, supported continent-wide SBAS in Africa during the cost benefit analysis workshop on implementation of SBAS in the continent of Africa in May 2022, precisely 30th to 31st at Rwanda, Ali. The workshop was organized in conjunction with African Civil Aviation Mission, AFCAP, which is the African Union Specialized Agency for Civil Aviation Matters, and hosted by Rwanda Civil Aviation Authority. Multilateral cooperation is ongoing in conjunction with ANGA for first pre-operational services and full service commencing most likely 2023, with continuous ramping of ground infrastructure, as emphasized by my friend in the 3-phase to cover the entire continent and surrounding waters too as well, Indian Ocean, Atlantic Ocean. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. So my next question is to you, Mr. Vivian. So one of the things that Dr. Lasisi mentioned now regarding the need for SBAS, one of them is like safety. He also mentioned reliability and all of that, especially as it factors into the aviation industry. So as one of the key implementers also at ASECNA and ANGA, I want you to tell me about the role, the specific role now that SBAS plays in enhancing aviation safety across Africa. So I wanted to dig a little bit deeper into, so what roles do you think it can play in areas where they have limited ground-based infrastructure?
Okay, thank you, Mustafa, and thank you again to invite us to this important event. As you say, yeah, and Dr. Lasisi also focus on these points. In Africa, we don't have enough ground-based navigation aids, and compared to the other region in the world, we don't have enough ground-based navigation aids. I mean, VOR, ILS, DME, and so on. And to be precise, we more than 60% of our airports or aerodrome in Africa are not equipped with navigation infrastructure. And also the ILS, the instrument landing system, that is the conventional navigation aid today to provide precision approach. These ILS have less than 20% of our airports today that are equipped with. So considering this very limited terrestrial navigation aid in Africa, the concept, the PBN concept, performance-based navigation concept that have been introduced in aviation some years ago by the International Civil Aviation Organization. This concept is really a great opportunity for Africa in order to increase safety, but also efficiency and accessibility on the various airports and airfields we have in Africa. And that is very important, is that we don't need to invest in additional ground-based infrastructure when you are implementing the PBN concepts. So this GNSS, why it is an opportunity for Africa? It is really because the GPS, which is the main component of the GNSS concept, the GPS is more accessible for airspace users, and the GNSS is also considered as the main infrastructure for the PBN application that can be used for all phases of flight. So it's really an opportunity. We can use it everywhere also. So in particular, when come to the satellite-based augmentation system, that is a component of the GNSS system. This system, when it is implemented, it will increase the safety of flight for the enhancement of accuracy, but also continuity, integrity of all the information that are provided by the GNSS. So the ANGA program, the Augmented Navigation for Africa program, that is led by ASECNA, aim to provide the SBAS services in Africa and in the Indian Ocean region. And the main objective of this program is to provide safety of life services to flights, and in particular to provide the geometric guidance to aircraft when they are landing. And this geometrical guidance, including the vertical guidance, is something very important to avoid controlled flight into terrain accidents, safety accidents. In the large number of aerodromes we have today that are not equipped with ILS. So the ANGA program is designed to comply with the International Civil Aviation Organization requirements, and the SBAS service provider identifier number 7 has been given by ICAO to the ANGA program. that is recognized by ICAO, as the Dr. Lassisi said before. And this identification number is today, yes, part of the Annex 10, Volume 1 to the International Civil Aviation Convention. So that's what I will say here on this point, Mustafa, and thank you. Back to you.
Thank you very much, sir. So my next question would go to you, Mr. Albert. So one of the things that we've been able to establish today is that SBAS is not just for aviation. While it might be predominantly for the aviation sector, it can also be used in different other industries or sectors. So I want you to explain to us which other sectors would benefit from the full implementation of SBAS in Africa, apart from the aviation sector.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mustafa, for this question. In fact, indeed, when we say aviation, it's like the leader for this technology, which is SBAS. But in fact, in real life, you know that we are using GPS, for instance, in many other applications and sectors. It's why we today is to show that apart from aviation, all the sectors that will need positioning, navigation, and timing can be benefiting from SBAS and GNSS technology in general. But specifically, aviation, every sector will have its own requirements, and this own requirement will be fulfilled by attributes that were attributes of SBAS or GNSS. In fact, SBAS came because of a limitation we have in GNSS, but we have to consider that SBAS is a multimodal technology to serve many of other sectors like maritime, road and automotive, sector like agriculture, like my friend Dr. Lassisi was saying. In agriculture today, the precision agriculture is has a good interest in SBAS, especially because when there we can see the real impact of GNSS or of SBAS in the life of people. Today we are talking about technology, but technology is to serve citizens. And if we are promoting this technology today, it's because we know that there are many benefits that can serve people, that can serve citizens. So technology sectors are key sectors like agriculture is always using GNSS, but they can use it more. Application like many applications can be served by these technologies. But we have also sector like geoinformation sector. We have new sectors like timing sector, for instance. Today, when you ask to somebody, they will say, "I have GPS time." Which is GPS time today? They are using GPS time, but GPS time is GNSS time. So we have the sector. We will need time that is coming from this technology that can serve a sector like electricity to synchronize equipment, like sector like telecommunication can be benefiting of this time that is precise time that will be provided by this technology. But new sectors also, sectors like drones, that are emerging sectors, sector like Internet of Things. In sector like Internet of Things, for instance, you know how critical is to know the importance to know where the equipment is situated. We are connecting things, but we have to know that things that are connected are situated where. And the GNSS or SBAS technology will come with this additional information on the position of system to really, and the time, synchronize all these networks of Internet of Things for the benefits of application that we are all today pushing for. So really, we have to see broadly SBAS or GNSS technology as a multi-sectoral, multimodal technology to serve many other sectors. But in every sector, we have many applications that can be served by GNSS. And I'm used to say, when we talk about all things that are coming from sky, they are blessed. Today, when they say rain, when it's raining, it's a blessing when we see rain. It's time today we have to consider also GNSS or SBAS as a blessing, but it's because it's coming from sky, you can use it everywhere and fulfill your requirement or your needs because you are using something that is available. And also is to raise attention to all the application developer. Application developer, it's time for them to know that when I'm developing my application, Every time I will need positioning, I will need navigation, and I will need timing. I can think about GNSS, so I can think about SBAS. Why SBAS? Because SBAS will be will serve at continental level with another factor, which is confidence, which is reliability. It's why we are pushing for SBAS. That's what I can say at this level. Thank you very much.
Yes. Mustafa, if I can, in addition to what, because this is about benefits now, benefits to particularly African. I don't know if I can share this right. So some figures based on the cost benefit analysis that took place in Rwanda 2022. Let me see if I can get that slide and share with us. That's a very critical aspect of what we're talking about. And let me just quickly make an addition with a slide here. Okay. Wish I can get this. Screen sharing. Okay. And is my slide up? Okay, it's coming up. It's actually probably takeaways during the cost benefit analysis workshop. It was a very interesting thing. Even the aviation tells you that if there's any continent, that needs SBAS. Yes, okay. If there's any,
you're not sharing this particular screen, so you have to stop sharing, then share like the entire screen so that we can see the slide.
All right. Is it up now?
No, you have to stop sharing first, then share.
Okay, I have to stop. Okay, let me do that. Then share again, right? Okay. Sorry. Okay, share again. Okay, are we there?
Yes, it's up now.
Okay. Very good. Let me just go quickly to this map that was shown, map of Africa. In that map of Africa, just like what pointed out, you can see this African map. They got it showing presented by the global consultant on behalf of African Union mission. You got it. You see locations of not accurate anyway, location of airports with ILS runway, like you mentioned. Instrument landing system is a system used by pilots to guide aircraft land safely. But look at, of course, the US region. But you could look at how sparsely, if you compare this map, what is obtainable in US, where you have the WAS, Wide Area Augmentation System, and of course, to Europe, where you also have the IGNOS, which is the European Geostationary Navigation Overlay System. The whole of airports in France today are equipped with SBAS. Then you know that we're nowhere. So this is one of the needs and gap assessments of GNSS and variable SBAS in Africa. This is in the aviation sector. And of course, this also shows you airports with no ILS, but probably with RNP, the ones in blue. You get it there, RNP, APCH. Then also the ones in yellow are airports with no ILS or RNP. Now, coming down to non-aviation sector, we also did some gap assessment there. Let me just go to that metrics that shows something very interesting. You get it utilization in non-aviation sector. And when we looked at market size in Africa, market impact and market in conditions. And you could see the criteria and points we gave to maritime. Maritime and agriculture came tops. Agriculture, 15% of our GDP in Africa is agriculture. So what that means is when you implement precision agriculture, it's going to guarantee food security, food sustainability. It's going to also in line with United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, take care of poverty issue. I think that should be goal number 1 or thereabout. Then, of course, in maritime, part of our projection is looking at the maritime sector where you have the ships, the cargoing of systems from Asia to Africa. We estimated that we will have about 2.9 million vessels by 2045. That's huge. You get it? Then, of course, just like Herbert said, drone. You know what drone can do in healthcare centers far away from these cities in terms of guiding them to deliver medicines and all of that. Of course, and another aspect is the geoinformatic sector. You get it? You know, of course, location-based services. I've seen countries, you know, that are taking opportunity of location services to bring about safety, to bring about tracking, monitoring, you know, efficient way of even delivering postal services and all of that. And of course, another sector which also had some criteria is actually the rail transport system, road, automotive, you know, sector. And of course, automated driving system, you know, and also timing, which may not be timing. This sector that actually requires sectors. There are so many applications coming up. Bring it back home in Africa, you get it. We have also issues of natural disasters, you know, man-made buildings collapsing, you know, bridges collapsing. You get it. We may not have landslide in this part of the world, but we're beginning to have dams collapsing. You get it. With tsunamis, you can utilize GNSS PPP, precise point position, to monitor. You get it. The weight carrying system, just like we've seen in China. China has landslide, you know, consuming villages and all of that, leading to one-ton destruction of life. But they've been able to utilize this system to actually tell, you get it, when such will happen and evacuate people before it happens. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
So my next question will go to you, Mr. Vivian. So this question is tailored specifically to like the aviation industry. So obviously we know that air traffic management, it would require seamless integration and interoperability of navigation systems when they are fully functional. So I want to know what methods or what models is ASECNA and also like the ANGA program, how are they trying to go about, you know, regional and international aviation authorities so that they can establish some common standards and protocols for SBAS deployment and operation in African airspace?
Thank you, Mustafa, for this question. As you say, the interoperability is a key requirement for navigation systems, as it is also for the communication or surveillance systems, in order to achieve this goal of having a seamless traffic management. So ASECNA, through the ANGA program, what we do, we regularly participate in the meeting of the SBAS interoperability working group, which is an international working group that's put together all the SBAS service provider in the world that are recognized by the ICAO. And in this during this meeting, we discuss about the development plans of the various SBAS systems. We also discuss about the issues relative to the standardization. We need to initiate some standards for the SBAS services. We also discuss, and that is important, about the harmonization and also interoperability of the SBAS system. There are also a dedicated session for the operational use of the SBAS, and we discuss also the issues related to promotion as well. So during this meeting, the SBAS service provider from all around the world, the one from the United States of America, represented by the FAA, We also have the service provider from Europe, represented by the European Space Agency, from China, from Japan, from India, and so on. And all those service providers discuss together all technical issues that may raise when we are talking about the development and operation of SBAS system. Apart from that, ALSECNA also is a member of the ICAO navigation system panel, where issues relating to the evolution of the ICAO standards and recommended practices related to GNSS and SBAS, particular are discussed, considering the maturity of the development of new navigation system, and also taking into account the outcomes of research and study relative to navigation system. So today we can say that ALSECNA is fully committed in taking into account the issue of integration and interoperability of navigation system, both on regional scale but also international scale, in order to develop and operate GNSS and SBAS system. So this is what I can say, Mustafa, related to this question. That is very important in order to ensure interoperability within the SBAS all around the world. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Dr. Lasisi, the next question is, so this is going to focus more like the first question that I asked you, where you mentioned and you explained how the L-band on NICOPSAT 1R is what you used for the text drive in Abuja last year. So I want to talk about like the need for real-time data for dynamic navigation applications. So what I wanted to like discuss with us about this is, how does NICOPSAT ensure the timely and accurate dissemination of documentation data across in Africa? So how do you intend to make this possible? Also, are there like any integrity or data measures in place?
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. Yes, to be honest with you, in the last, just like Vivian must have mentioned, in the last 2-3 years, we've actually been cooperating together to implement ICAO SATs. You get it? So ICAO actually has regulation. We also know NICOPSAT as an entity is a member of the International Committee of GNSS, where we go rub minds with all the stakeholders in the industry. And those before us, get it? Those before us, for instance, US, as far back as 1990, 1991, they already have WAS in place. So, and also, of course, you have the IGNOS system, you have all of the stakeholders, we rub minds to also ensure we reflect those standards, you get it, an integrity system. So what we're doing, it's not about NICOPSAT alone, it's in conjunction with ALSECNA ground infrastructure, linking even what we have here, you get it, our ground infrastructure here in Abuja to Dakar, you get it, Dakar speed system. Then of course, at our own hand here, we have the integrity equipment, you get it, supplied to us by our international partner, you get it in conjunction with also what ALSECNA provided. Then of course, firewalls implemented in times of security, but this is still pretty operational procedure. We just also submitted a proposal just about 2 weeks ago to the body of ALSECNA that's driving the ANGA system on what we intend to contribute on that. Because like I told you, for us, we strongly believe in multilateral cooperation. This is not about just whatever we put up here, NICOPSAT, whatever we put on the NICOPSAT navigation system is seen entirely, not just by African continent, surrounding waters, Indian Atlantic Ocean, and even in part of Australia and part of China. Just like when we did terrestrial, they could receive a signal there. So what that means is we need to go beyond, our national and continental boundaries to cooperate. You get it, to get this up. You get it, while ensuring all standards, including interference issue, are actually taken care of For instance, we're also a member of Resolution 609 of World Radio Congress Resolution 2007 that actually ensures all players in this sector come together and ensure there are limits to what you transmit to ensure interference-free interoperability of signal in space. You get it? So this is it. Then the other issues we may want to touch, you get it, as it concerns augmentation, data. The other thing we do again is monitoring. You have this IGMAS system that was proposed in one of the international committee of GNSS users, which set out issue concerning, for instance, development of international GNSS monitoring and assessment service, which we have here. Currently, we have one here. IGMAS serves the need to have a global GNSS monitoring and assessment capability to assist with public confidence in GNSS service provision and operability, in line with a complementary role to the IGS network that you have in terms of signal in space quality and constellation status monitoring. We have that real time where we monitor GPS. We also see Beidou here, that is the one owned by China. We also see the GLONASS system, get it owned by Russia, and we also see the Galileo owned by European Union. So we just returned. NICOMSAT was attended the most recent 17th ICG meeting, which was held in Madrid, and there we talked about so many issues ranging from, because that's where you talk about issues concerning, timing, value-added services, beyond, even positioning, navigation, timing, PNT, as we have it. There you have study groups, like looking at systems, signals and services, enhancements of GNSS performance, new services capability, new services and capability. For instance, let me shock you about some of the things we are looking at. Development of GNSS-based techniques now for application related to disaster risk reduction, DRR, in line with climate change issues that we have, and natural hazards monitoring. You got it, where with such techniques, as you may know, GNSS precise point positioning, you get it, the utilization of reflectometry, radio occultation, and ground-based total electron content, you get it, to have broad applications covering issues concerning earthquakes, landslides, tsunamis, just like I mentioned earlier, floods, and solar storms. So this is where we draw inference, including even also being visiting researchers, you get it, as NICOM said, to some of these universities that are in the forefront. A good example in Asia is Wuhan University, where they have a national GNSS center. You get it, that actually study in real time utilization of GNSS beyond PNT in real time. So that's what we do. We're not limited to just our own geographical location. We collaborate with all of the stakeholders around the world, and that's why UNOSA is there. And ICG is headquartered under UNOSA, based in Vienna, promoting peaceful use of GNSS system.
Thank you for that very comprehensive answer. So my last question to you, Mr. Albert. One of the things that we've also highlighted as one of the challenges to the implementation of SBAS in Africa would be visibility, right? Most people are not aware of the services or like the capabilities or like the importance of fully operationalizing SBAS in Africa. So I want to talk about the various partnerships and collaborative efforts that you are doing at JPO, both regionally and also internationally, that is promoting the adoption and utilization of SBAS technologies in Africa.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mustafa, and thank you very much also for Dr. Latisi for the details he provided for this question. The most important for us today is to know how we are organized as GPO. As SatNav Africa, in fact, in our governance, you have the steering committee that is co-chaired by AUC and the EC, which means there is a collaboration at international level with Europe and Africa, because we have at Africa at the continental level, the AUC that is involved and in all the things that GPO today is doing. As main beneficiaries that we have today, we have African Union and technical organizations, but we have also some like AFCAC, but we have also some regional economic communities, and with these regional economic communities, we have some memorandum of understanding, and with them we are developing a kind of roadmap in the implementation of SBAS in the region. So GPO has developed like a modular approach, and in this modular approach, the leaders are the regional economic communities, so that it will be more easier to target country at regional level in order to really have then involve or embark in this adventure of SBAS. But we have also air transport user community like ICAO, like CIA, like NSP today, and airport and airline that are working closely with us. For instance, when we are developing some cost-benefit analytic study for airline, it's really targeting, it's really to show the benefits that airline can get from this technology. We have other sectors and organizations that we are working closely, also through under memorandum of understanding. We have maritime community, we have agricultural community, but we have also, and specifically for capacity building, with some memorandum of understanding in place with key institutions. We are working closely, for instance, with CRAST LF in Morocco in the implementation of the master degree on GNSS, and in this master degree, GPO and GPO through the expert are providing really a big support to prepare really the Africans for to take in to consider or to develop capacity that will use to tomorrow these technologies. We have also through this the working agreement, we are working so with this some company mainly with startup. We are supporting hackathons where developers are developing new applications that are targeting the real African needs and problem. So like when today we are working with Sandbox, for instance, in Kenya. We are working, we were in Niger, in a hackathon when were known, where GPO was pushing for applications that are using GNSS, and we provide some prices we encourage this young developer to include GNSS in the solutions they want to provide for Africa. So we are at international level with international institutions, but at African level, we've really worked closely with AUC, but we work also with regional economic community, which we think it's key for the implementation of this kind of technology that is regional technology. What we want in Africa is not to spread our effort, but to join our effort. GPO was supporting, for instance, the demonstration or the showcase that was done in Nigeria, organized by NICOMSAT and ONGA. It's a good example of integration, of joining effort, not duplicating effort, to reach, to target challenges that are concerning all the African citizens. So we are on the top. We are trying to coordinate at our level. We are trying to give support for all the initiating targeting the deployment or the development or the use of GNSS technology, mainly SBAS in Africa, but we are also supporting all the stakeholders in all they are doing according to GNSS and SBAS in Africa. For instance, with webinar, it's welcomed for us. It gives us a platform, a very good platform to develop on what we are doing. And thank you very much, Mustafa, thanks to your organization for this kind of initiative. So this is what I can tell you at this level. We are open for other questions, if any, and my colleagues will support me, of course, in the answer we can provide.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Because of our time, we have to go into the Q&A section now. And I have questions from the audience. So I'll just direct the questions to each of the speakers. So the first one, I think this should go to you, Mr. Vivian. So someone is talking about the impact of weather and environmental factors that can affect the performance of SBAS. So the person is asking what exactly the agency is doing to address such challenges, and also to ensure the continuity and accuracy of navigation services, especially during these adverse conditions.
Yes, thank you, Mustafa, and thank you for this question that has been asked by the audience. For sure, to deal with adverse ionospheric challenges, disturbances, is a very important challenge for GNSS development, especially in the equatorial region. And on our side, since years 2011, ASECNA has conducted various R&D activities in order to face this challenge. The ANGA system is developed using the EGNOS technology, and the first feasibility studies that have been conducted with the support of the French Space Agency revealed that there is a need to enhance the knowledge of the ionosphere and to improve also correction algorithm. So for this, we have put in place a project called SAGE in 2013 with the support of CNES and the European Space Agency. And the objective of this project was to deploy a network, a GNSS network, in order to collect the GNSS data in the region, but also to access the ionosphere and to develop a new algorithm in order to face this particular challenge. So as part of this project, we have deployed 11 GNSS stations in the ASECNA area. And the outcome of this project is that the outcome confirmed that it is possible to provide SBAS service in the Africa region. Apart from this R&D project, we also that aim to fine-tune the ionospheric model. The design of the ANGA system also consider the use of the Galileo measurements in order to improve the ionospheric correction. So today, this issue of weather, this issue of ionosphere adverse condition is taken into account in the development and the operation of the ANGA system. Back to you.
In addition, Mustafa, in fact, verify to validate what Vivian just said. In fact, the prototype that was developed, you get it, was actually, tried on ICOMSAT-1, which led to a paper we presented recently last year at USA. You get it, but GFMC SBAS prototype in Africa, well received. You get it, where we showed the architecture, utilize the algorithm. The truth of the matter, yes, in low latitude comprising of the equatorial region and latitudes about 0 to 20, 25 degrees north and south, you actually have this, signal scintillation. And that was why we now have, based on what we did recently, instead of the legacy transmission of SBAS system, utilize a L1 transponder. What NITCOMSAT has currently is actually L1 and L5. So combination of these is what you call the dual frequency multi-constellation, so that you develop a model, a canal prototype that actually, compensate for this atmospheric, you get it, scintillation, you get it. And that test that we ran for almost 6 months, you get it. We came out with some results. I wish I can share those results. I have it in a slide here. You get it, where we looked at the position accuracy performance, the navigation system error compatible with LPV 2000 services was fantastic. You get it. It was well received. That paper, I urge you, you get it. The title of that paper, if you can remember, is DFMC SBAS in Africa, the results and the perspective. And taking advantage of the already existing, in fact, part of the result was taking advantage of the already existing SBAS demonstration service started jointly by NITCOMSAT and SEC9 in 2021, the DFMC panel that has been successfully integrated into the ANGA testbed was successful and available from June 2023, providing good performances. This is to validate what Vivian has said. Actually, that canal and technology was developed by CNS of France. You get it, in combination with 1 or 2 inputs from Africa here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So one other question, this is also going to you, Dr. Lasisi. Someone was asking about, when you were talking about, the time component in the PNT, the person is asking about the benefit of SBAS in the banking sector.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. It's a timing stamp. In today's world, not just only banking sector. You get it? When you talk about 5G, the more you move beyond 3G to 4G to 5G to even 6G now in the pipeline. You got it. 6G satellite was just launched in China about 2 months ago. And people are already working on 7G. It means the accuracy, you get it, the level of accuracy of your clocks on ground and on the satellite must be very high, beyond 10 raised to power minus 10 raised to power 7, 10 raised to power 6, you get it. So what SBAS has to do, for instance, let me give an example of banking and both, of course, the 5G network. 5G networks requires that currently they use GPS system and all of that for timing, for the timing synchronization. The reason why I call you in Nigeria and you receive apparently a real time is because the speed of the network and light 3 times 10 raised to power 3 times 10 raised to power 8 meters per second, light of speed. Obviously that. So what that means is your clocking system for you to have that apparent time synchronization. The clocking system you have on board the satellite and the atomic rubidium clock on your ground infrastructure must have a higher accuracy level. When it has higher accuracy level, you begin to have true real-time scenario without delay. You get it? Without delay. Then it's also very applicable to autonomous. Somebody mentioned that, an autonomous vehicle. Apparently in real time. The same thing in banking sector too. Banking sector requires, time instance, which must virtually be in real time. SBAS systems will improve performance of time instance in the banking sector, not only in the banking sector, in telecom sector, in national grid electricity network, smart metering system over the SCADA system, smart electricity, such that whatever it's done in the, what you call, for instance, we have that in Oshobo, where you have the control center. You want whatever is done at a geographically separated place, to another part, over 6,000 kilometers, you get it. It should be instant and virtually on real time. It may not be real time, but what we perceive, you and I, we perceive, because it's at the speed of light, will almost be a real time. And that's the kind of systems you need on autonomous vehicle, on autonomous drone, and all of that. And this is where SBAS will come to actually help, because your timing accuracy is much, much more better and higher than traditional GNSS system.
Yes, so we can add something to what Dr. Latisi said. In fact, we talk about accuracy in this synchronization, but we talk about timestamp of all this banking system and also. But what it's important to know that when we are talking about the magnitude of accuracy, it's given that time given, it's about 50 microseconds. You see the level of accuracy we are talking about. If 50 microseconds at a human level, it's not perspective. So it's why we say it's really a good technology to take profit of this. This is what I can add to what Dr. Latisi has just said. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much to all our speakers. Unfortunately, because of our time, we'll not be able to take any questions. So I would like to apologize to all our participants. If you've asked any questions that we've not been able to touch on, I apologize for that. But one thing I can tell you is that you can reach out to any of the speakers after now, and they will be ready to accommodate any questions or clarifications that you need. So again, thank you very much to all the participants for joining in today. And we wish to see you at our next webinar.